this is probably the last place where I would expect to learn something new about food. A funeral parlor.
There's mochi, ice cream, popiah, and then there's satay. Why is this food here?
These are some of the food that we actually serve at the funeral wake.
Including ice cream.
Including ice cream.
I'm Ming Tan. Chef, restaurateur,
This is for Oktoberfest also, is it?
and TV host.
All right, Winnie, we have our ingredients laid out here.
And here I am, chatting about ice cream at a funeral parlor. What brought me here? Well...
Oh, okay, get it.
I am a big believer in the transformative power of food.
Stress-relieving smoothie bowl.
How we farm,
So this is what you put into the center of the popiah.
manufacture, and eat doesn't just affect our waistlines.
If I sit next to you and eat food with you, do you feel any closer to me at all?
You feel a bit different when you taste.
So I've embarked on a new journey to discover how food can change the world. Starting from our brains. Pumpkin seeds, peanuts, or at most curry chicken and fried bihun. This is what I expect when I attend a traditional Chinese wake. Buddhist, Taoist, or Christian. Although the funeral rites and proceedings may differ, food is traditionally served at Chinese funerals in Singapore. But funeral director Ang Jolie May kicks it up a notch.
A gentleman actually, he loves to have ice cream after dinner. So at the end of the funeral, we started to serve the ice cream that he loved. And everybody just had this moment where they felt this part of that still lingers.
Was it a sad moment?
No, in fact, the family was so thrilled. This kind of little gesture brings like a sweet taste in them as they close this chapter of their life. It really helped them to understand and, manage their own grief.
So tell me about the satay. You served satay at funerals before.
Yes, we did. The father loves satay. So then we managed to find a satay guy who is willing to pengkang the satay on the spot. And people were queuing up. And that to me was a very heartwarming moment where I see families like, oh, I don't want to eat the food, but rather they're all like, oh, give me 5, give me 10. And the uncle was super busy.
As opposed to a more somber,
Yeah.
very quiet experience where everyone's sort of sitting there contemplating and then saying nice things about each other, right?
Exactly. So I think when you talk about food, like I serve this kind of food and it brought back a lot of memories.
We don't often associate food with the process of grief. It's not always an immediate thing.
We are all connected with our senses, the sense of smell, and the minute you smell certain food, you get reminded of someone.
It sounds like food is a gateway or a door almost that you can always access whenever you want to.
Absolutely. I think that's the beautiful part about food. You get the smell, you get the taste, and when you taste it, it brings you back to a different memory.
Very, very powerful.
The way Ang Jolie uses food to give the departed a lovely send-off resonates with me, a chef and a foodie. She firmly believes food can be another way to connect and a way for the living to deal with their loss. In many other cultures, specific dishes are already an integral part of funerals. In the United States, it's casseroles and even fried chicken. In Italy, you will find bread and coffee. In Mexico, it's mole, a complex, rich and fatty sauce. And then in the Middle East, halva. This sweet, dense confection is usually made from sesame paste and sugar. Most of these foods are high in fat or sugar. So I'm very curious why these particular dishes are associated with loss and grief. The answer, as I'm about to find out, might just lie in rodents.
Dr. Fu, how do we begin this process?
Okay, maybe pick a brain you like.
Pick a brain I like. I like this brain. It's
Okay.
very symmetrical.
So basically, we'll just slowly put it into the imaging chamber. Once it's inside, then we can let the microscope work and take images. And then just show you if we change it to this color and then click, then you will see the little things here and there.
Dr. Fu is a neuroscientist whose work is focused on how the brain responds to nutritional signals. How does he do that?
You can see where these neurons are located.
By putting rodent brains under the microscope. These mice were fed different kinds of food right before they died. So the food is literally imprinted on their brains. It's kind of like a snapshot of their reaction to the food they ate.
So Dr. Fu, if I had to ask you how this rodent felt at this point, would you be able to tell?
For this particular mouse, we let it consume some high-fat and sweet food. You will probably think these rodents are happy, at least. They have a lot of dopamine released in the brain and tell the animal this is something good. In this particular brain, you see a lot of active neurons, means these neurons are telling the mouse that this food is very rewarding and worth consuming.
How would this be different in a human?
Actually, you'll be surprised we're not that much different from animals in terms of eating behavior. And if we think about how the brain responds to food, there are different receptors for different tastes. And there are salt, sour, sweet, umami, and bitter. The sweet taste and the umami taste, in general, will generate happy feeling because all the way from your tongue to the brain, it's almost hardwired. Whenever there is something sweet, your happy center will be activated and will release dopamine and other things.
Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It acts as a chemical messenger between neurons. When it is released in large amounts, it creates feelings of pleasure and reward.
So we hear of stories where comfort food, like in the United States, casseroles, fried chicken, pies,
Yes.
these are often given to grieving families sort of as a gift during that period, right?
All these foods are high in carbohydrate and fat. Our brain will respond to all these rewarding and palatable food so that those dopaminergic neurons will work and some dopamine will be released so that it will help you to move out of the sad state.
You often see situations where someone's upset and doesn't have an appetite. But then people around them say, just eat, you'll feel better.
That's probably true.
Dopamine release is triggered by foods rich in sugar, carbohydrates, and fat. So it's scientifically proven food can help us cope with grief. I want to learn exactly how best to use it to help someone who's suffering a terrible loss. Bereavement can send the body into fight or flight mode. Adrenaline raises the heart rate and boosts energy use. Cortisol, the stress hormone, stimulates fat and carbohydrate metabolism for fast energy supply. As a result, your appetite for sweet, high-fat and salty goods may increase. Grief can leave you feeling anxious and depressed, and even give you flu-like symptoms, such as muscle aches, fatigue, cold hands and feet. Hence, psychologist Geraldine Tan recommends an approach that is different, not offering popular comfort foods.
So we can go with really strong flavors, but not everybody enjoys that. Most of the time we go with softer foods. We go with foods that are gentler on the palate.
Two items that are very representative of this porridge and stew.
Yep.
Very, very comforting, warming food items. Let me get a spoon.
Yes.
So why would porridge be an example of something to serve at a wake or to someone who's grieving?
I would say not at a wake, but probably, you would bring to someone that is grieving, or they can cook it themselves. Again, it's one pot and everything is inside. Easy to go down, easy to swallow.
Easy to swallow. Why is that a thing?
If the body is in shock, everything is constricted, everything is tense, right? You want to be very kind to the body, you want to be very gentle to the body. You were talking about warming. So temperature is something else that we need to pay attention to. Nothing too hot, but warm. Warm is like an embrace. With social distancing, we have to be a little bit farther. So we use food to just gently embrace the other person.
Food can help us feel better. It might be the taste or the combination of nutrients and textures our brains prefer, the memories they invoke, or the company during meals. But is food powerful enough to heal an entire society from an unexpected and crippling loss? A loss that caused depression and anxiety rates to spike in the whole nation.
More than 1 in 10 people in Singapore have experienced pandemic-linked depression or anxiety symptoms.
The Samaritans of Singapore has received more calls to its suicide prevention hotline for the first half of this year compared to 2019.
Feelings of isolation and despair.
In recent years, we have collectively lost the world as we've known it. The COVID-19 pandemic changed our lives in so many ways. We've lost our freedom to move and travel. Many have lost their jobs and their income, and families have been separated, with loved ones lost to the virus.
The current treatment for anxiety and depression involves medication and therapy. But I want to know if we could use food to ease these conditions.
Basically screen for genes or drugs or other factors, even diets.
According to Dr. Caroline Wee, one day it might be possible.
It's very exciting because every week we get new results.
This is the reason she's studying zebrafish.
Zebrafish share 70% of their genes with humans, and they have a lot of common organs, including the gut and the brain, that humans also have. And so we can use them to model how humans might react to different kinds of diets. And it is also small and transparent, which allows you to look at many different organs and how they interact with the brain.
So we've got our lab coats on and some protective gear. What are we about to do now?
So now to add salt water. It's the same water that they're swimming in.
Yeah.
In order to study their behavior, Caroline feeds the fish different diets.
Fatten up. Take you to the market soon.
The fish fed food high in fat, such as egg yolk or butter, were more hyperactive and slept less than those fed regular fish food.
And we are going to put them in a custom-built setup. There's a light source from below, and also infrared light bars, and still you would be able to monitor the movement. So now we have a custom program built to track the fish over a long period of time. The middle one was fed with the butter diet, and the one on the right was fed with egg yolk diet. If you focus on the gut of these egg yolk fed fish, you can see many more tiny puncta. So these are the white blood cells, and they're accumulating there. This suggests that there is some sort of inflammation.
What do you mean by inflammation?
So inflammation is the body's response to toxins or infection or injury. And the first line of defense would be that the white blood cells will move to the area where there is this harm to the fish, and they either engulf the toxins or they secrete factors that try to reduce the harm caused by these toxins.
So what we're looking at here is why these two fish that were fed the high-fat diet have inflammation in their gut. And can this be associated with the brain, the fish's mood?
There's a lot of purported links between gut health and immune system, and then brain function, whether it's cognitive function or mood or mental health. So I think we can use the fish to try to explore and understand the mechanisms of this link a bit better, so that we can start to interfere and manipulate with some of these pathways and then see if we can now rescue the effects of diet on behaviors.
Dr. Caroline and her school of tiny fish just confirmed that we are on to something when we talk about having a gut feeling.
So how does the gut actually communicate with the brain? I'm on my way to the place to help me understand this better. Dr. Henning, what is this contraption I'm looking at?
This is an anaerobic chamber, which we use to cultivate anaerobic microorganisms from the human gut.
Okay, anaerobic means no air inside, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so what do I need to do now, first of all?
You can stick your arms into these sleeves.
Dr. Henning Seedorf is showing me how he gets exclusive access to the latest scoop in the world of bacteria.
I feel like a deep-sea probe of some sort.
Spoiler alert. It involves some poo.
So that is the shit.
Yes.
Let's get some poo out. Anything from here is good?
Yeah. So there are 100 billion bacteria in probably 1 gram of feces, roughly.
What do they look like?
So you can see that there are different types of bacteria. Bacteria kind of also talk to each other, or they communicate or interact with each other.
Sure.
There's a lot of exchange of genetic material, but there are also bacteria that clearly they do not like other bacteria. So in this case, you can see that there's a spot of bacteria here, a big colony. So these bacteria really don't like each other here. So it's particularly this one in the middle here, this spot.
Yeah, there's sort of a moat.
This moat is basically an area where that bacterium in the middle has killed the other bacterium that is growing next to it.
Just imagine. There are trillions of microbes working, waging wars and forming alliances, all in your gut.
Some people will refer to it actually as an additional organ. So there are estimates that the number of cells in the gut is equivalent to the total number of cells that we have in the human body. There's increasing evidence that the microbiome from the gut has strong effects on our mental well-being.
How much do we know about this connection between the brain and the gut?
So you have a lot of information that is generated in the gut, and that is actually also fed into the neurons, and those are connected to the brain also. So you have a feedback between the brain and the gut, and the other way around as well. If we're like stressed out, for example, then it turns into our stomach problems,
yeah.
and sometimes the other way around also.
Yes.
So there's a connection between what's happening in the gut and also what's happening in our brain, basically, also.
Researchers call our microbiome our second brain.
And I will show you why.
The gut technically is the gastrointestinal tract, or digestive system, a pathway from your mouth to your butt. There are some 500 million neurons in the gut. Not only do they control your digestion and tell you if you're hungry or you're satisfied, they can also change our perception of the world and alter our behavior. Neurons, bacteria, good stuff. This connection between the brain and the gut is a two-way highway. For example, 90% of serotonin, the chemical substance that regulates feelings of happiness, is produced here in the gut. Every single one of us has a very different microbiome. Each unique microbiome may respond to different foods differently. So it may be a long journey to find out what works for me or you. But we have to start somewhere. So I enlisted the help of dietitian Winnie Low to find out what kind of diet is best to keep my gut and me happy.
来，这块鱼，三文鱼，整片啦，不用切啦。That's enough of protein, right?
Yes, for 2 will be good.
Thank you, thank you.
We shall look for some colorful vegetables because the colors is very beneficial for health.
So maybe we start with some...
Carrot, yeah. It contains beta-carotene.
The other colorful thing that catches my eye will be the corn.
Yes, yellow. Let's go for some colorful sweet potato as well.
All right. Peppers, all right.
Yeah.
We're gonna add in some green, because we don't have a green, right?
Oh yeah.
And maybe like a little pack of these beans.
This looks good.
Okay, I'm just gonna get one roll of these, yeah? Thank you. How do these help me with my mental state?
This diet originally is developed for people with hypertension, and recently it has been shown to have effective for mental health for people with depression.
All right, so we got our vegetables. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We bought a nice piece of salmon and a whole lot of colorful fruit and vegetables.
So Winnie, how can these colorful vegetables help with our mood?
In vegetables, we can get vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and also fiber. So fiber can be found in fruits, vegetables, and also whole grain. This fiber would be good to feed our gut bacteria, the good bacteria in our gut. If they can thrive, it will also produce the happy hormone. And actually 90% of the serotonin, or what we call as happy hormone, is actually produced by our gut.
So a happy gut means a happy body and a happy brain.
Yes, it does make a difference.
So if I don't take care of my diet, right, how does this affect my mood?
Research has shown that poor diet habits, such as high intake of saturated fat, the unhealthy type of fats, very little intake of fruits and vegetables and whole grain, a lot of refined sugar, affects the mood very much, as this type of diet promotes a lot of production of free radicals in our body.
Free radicals are molecules with unpaired electrons. They steal the electrons from other molecules, causing cell damage. In the gut, this may spark off inflammation. And when the gut's in trouble, it may impact the brain and your mental health. This diet, DASH, is full of antioxidants. Antioxidants can neutralize free radicals by giving them the electron that they are missing, preventing inflammation from taking place. And that's why DASH, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, has shown surprising benefits for mental health. Its main principles are simple. Make fruit and vegetables the base of your meal, accompanied by complex carbohydrates such as brown rice and wholemeal bread, plus proteins such as fish, poultry, and beans. This diet also includes fat-free or low-fat dairy products. A clinical study in 2017 compared two groups of patients suffering from depression. For 12 weeks, only one group ate according to the Mediterranean diet that closely resembles DASH. The Mediterranean diet is rich in colorful vegetables and fruits, seafood, nuts, and olive oil. At the end of the trial, the group that followed this diet showed significantly greater improvement than the other group. It's almost like when my gut is happy, I am happy. And in order to keep my gut happy, I should eat a lot of fiber and vitamins. But we have to cook them properly. For example, some vitamins are fat-soluble, which means the body absorbs them best when a person eats them with some healthy fats, such as olive oil, nuts, or avocados. And finally, this beautiful food lands on my plate. Now, this is where I have to stick to a portion guide. Vegetables should make up 50% of the plate. The amount of protein should be about as big as a palm, and the amount of carbohydrates would be about the same size as a fist. Following these proportions means I will get the right amount of nutrients and fiber to make my gut and body happy.
Upon consumption of all these colors and these items, I'm gonna feel better.
One day may not be enough.
I need to stick to this for how many days?
At least 2 weeks, but I would suggest small step at a time. We want to make sure that it builds into a habit so that you don't feel like you are following a diet, but you are just eating healthier.
That's an interesting point. Build this into a habit. Eat like this is a habit, and you will reap the benefits.
What's more important, This diet is supposed to make my gut healthier. And a healthy gut means a happier me.
The fish is very delicious.
The vibrant colors make me feel spirited and energetic. So I wonder, if eating this way keeps the brain healthy and the gut happy, can we do away with medication when treating depression or anxiety?
So I've discovered that the gut has a lot to say about mental health. 90% of serotonin, the happy hormone, is produced in the gut, which makes me quite hopeful. What if food could potentially help us solve mental health issues?
A 6-month course of antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication can set you back $600. Not to mention the side effects. Headaches, nausea, drowsiness or heart palpitations, to name a few. Now, what if we could replace this with food?
If you were to get full-blown depression, the levels which you need is much more.
Dr. Robin Goh specializes in a new field of psychiatry that looks at how food can help manage mental health.
That is actually what we are looking into, nutritional psychiatry, where we use food as a form of prevention to the betterment of our mental health. So Ming, there are certain foods which are rich in tryptophan, which can be easily available. So
tryptophan is?
It is sort of like a building block for it to be converted to serotonin.
Tryptophan is an essential amino acid that plays a very important role in the production of serotonin by bacteria in our gut. Hence, it's crucial to mood regulation. Now, it can't be produced by our bodies, so the only source of tryptophan is our diet. Some of the foods rich in tryptophan include salmon, poultry, dairy, oats, and nuts.
So does that actually mean that I can do away with medication?
When the patients do come, they do suffer from certain form of social and occupational function decline. And that means that they need help fast. Antidepressants would be the first line of treatment, as it provides a very fast result to a person which is suffering from depression and anxiety. While food may be a good form of management, it takes far too long and you need too much food to get there.
I see. Just because a food is rich in tryptophan doesn't mean that if I eat more, I will feel better, right?
Well, you're right on this aspect. We only need an optimal level of circulating serotonin in the body. So whatever which is excess, our body would get rid of it.
2 kilos of salmon every meal. Yeah, not gonna work.
So food can't replace medication when we are really ill. But eating right is still incredibly important. It could help us prevent depression.
The catch, as I've learned from dietitians, doctors, and scientists, is that we have to make eating right a habit. Diet will not work as a quick cure.
But the bottom line is, food is powerful.
This is for Oktoberfest also, is it?
And I want to harness this power to battle my own demons. Stress.
Double boiler or something. Testing, is it? As a busy chef, host, and entrepreneur, there's one thing I always lack, and that's going to be time. I have a ton of things to do today. I've got post-event stuff to handle, and I have meetings coming up my ears. We still need to cater to a crowd that is going to be relatively family-based. I mean, this is not the totally experimental crowd that is in the CBD. The next section that I think is important is the food and drink side. So the amount of things I got to do, right, keeps me stressed and on edge. Now, onto the kitchen, onto the kitchen. All right, also, I think we can add in like 30% Asian flavors and then like 70% just like anything else goes lah. So knowing how much of an impact food can have on your mood and your gut, I'm wondering if there's a food remedy to stress.
as you inhale, extends the spine and expands the chest. And as you breathe out, you think about letting go, releasing tensions and anything that you're thinking too much in the mind, so you feel more in the body. And rest.
Jolie is one of the calmest people I know.
Relax the temples.
But in her previous life, she was a high-flying marketer.
Back then, it was just everyday numbers, targets, goals, meeting people, new products. I guess I pushed myself hard, and because I didn't know when to stop.
So during this period, right, with work being quite intense, what was your diet like?
Oat bars, plenty of sugar, fries, potato chips, sugar.
How's your body reacting?
It's a bit embarrassing, but I was always constipated. It was really hard for me at one point. That's why it hit me to that mild depression, where I felt like it's really hard for me to sleep. I felt really bloated in my body. I felt worthless.
Jolie quit her job and started practicing and teaching yoga, movement and mindfulness 18 years ago. With this career change came a complete diet overhaul. She quit fast food and meat.
That's when food changed my life. I started to study and learn a little bit more about the nutrition of food. So I actually experimented until I knew exactly what food is really good for me.
So I asked Jolie to introduce me to some of her go-to stress-fighting foods. Now, my idea of a stress-fighting meal is a good, thick steak, but I'm open-minded. Time to give this a try.
So this is super creamy. I'm so excited.
And with these ingredients, we're going to make stress-fighting smoothies.
I love colors in my food because it's so fun to eat colors, especially when there's also different textures, right?
In this smoothie bowl, we have strawberries, blueberries, almond milk, bananas, and almond butter.
This is a stress-relieving smoothie bowl. I could get behind this. This is tasty, I like it, therefore if I like it, I feel good eating it. That gives me, you know, warm fuzzy feeling. But I'm not sure about stress relieving. If I'm like stressed at work and there are a lot of things to do and everyone's messaging me and everyone's asking me for things, I'm not sure a bowl of this will help me to calm down.
To get to the science of it, I'm meeting an expert from the National University of Singapore.
We're in this nice tranquil spot. There's a breeze, I see greenery here. I want to talk about stress and food. Have you come across food ingredients that are linked to reducing stress from a nutritional perspective?
Okay, so like berries, including strawberry or blueberries.
Why berries specifically?
So especially the berries are rich in vitamin C and also polyphenols, and they are able to lower cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Therefore, berry are going to be recommended to lower your stress. Nuts and avocado, they are rich in B vitamins and also certain amino acids that may regulate the neurotransmitters that will affect on your anxiety.
Let me show you what happens to our bodies when we get stressed. Now, in order to do this, my producer has asked me to lean against this screen like so. So stress triggers a set of biological responses, including the release of stress hormones from your adrenal glands, adrenaline and cortisol, an increase in blood sugar, rising blood pressure, rapid heartbeat. Now that's why a diet rich in vitamins B, C, and magnesium is essential, because they help our bodies deal with stress more efficiently. Take, for instance, B vitamins. They are essential to the production of neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin, both of which help us to regulate our mood. Here are some of the most powerful stress-fighting food superheroes. Avocados and nuts. rich in vitamin B and omega-3 amino acids that are important for our brain health. Blueberries, full of vitamin C and antioxidants, molecules that neutralize the harmful free radicals that can damage our cells. Dark, leafy greens, like spinach or Swiss chard. Salmon, rich in omega-3 fatty acids and tryptophan, which helps to regulate mood.
How much avocado and how much nuts and fruit do I need to consume before and I actually feel an effect?
It is not having the certain nutrient rich single food a lot, but having more diverse food together so that you are able to lower your stress and anxiety, but also you can enjoy your food. So scientifically, the impact of those foods that you mentioned, like avocado, nuts, or berries, has not been fully validated whether they are objectively lower your anxiety and stress. Therefore, lowering this anxiety and stress with a certain food is not just because of the nutrient that rich in that food, but also how you're enjoying your meal as well.
Even if it's a subjective response, I find it very comforting that food contains compounds that can help us deal with stress.
Damn it.
But there is one side effect of stress that worries me in particular. Forgetfulness.
Correct, yes.
Or making silly mistakes.
The right company, yeah, correct. So only Tuesdays we have our meetings. Only Tuesdays we have our... Oh, sorry, hold on. Not one of my finest moments, and because I'm not very organized sometimes, I admit this kind of thing happens on a daily basis. My life can be so hectic. But what about foods that potentially can help me to reduce stress? Maybe food can help me to boost my brain power somehow so I don't make stupid like that anymore, because that's a damn waste of cheese.
I've learned how food can help us cope with grief, prevent depression, or help us manage stress. Now, I really need to find out if food can help me boost my memory and focus.
I've assembled a panel of experts to help me uncover this. Now, these guys all scored top marks in their exams. Jake, please take it away.
Before my PSLEs, I usually had a kind of system. I would have a bit of salmon that's supposed to make people smarter. I also ate 3 pieces of lettuce every single day per meal.
Why?
Because my mother says so, and my mom knows best, yes.
Okay, chocolate. Sweets. I did feel like more motivated, happy, and less stressed.
So these items improved your mood and made you want to study more?
Yeah.
Did any of these foods help you to focus more or remember things better?
I'm pretty sure they did. Like, salmon is fish, and I like salmon a lot, so I think that helped me improve my memory.
My parents said that fish helps the brain, so I try to eat fish more because then I will be smarter, apparently.
I eat egg, which help in brain development and help in memory, so I think that is really useful. And
did they actually make you feel better? Like eggs, did they help you memorize things more? Did you feel a change?
Yeah, of course, because when I was studying, I felt that the things I memorized is always in my brain.
When I was studying, I think I eat a lot of chocolate sometimes because...
Straight to the chocolate?
Yes, chocolate, because chocolate helps me focus when I'm studying. And it's also like kind of a reward for me after I studied for a while.
I've compiled a list of the most common foods they consumed. Fish, mostly salmon. Eggs. Green vegetables. Carrots. Chocolate. Nuts. And berries. Some of these foods contain a nutrient which is commonly believed to be good for your brain, namely omega-3 fatty acids. And when you find them are fatty fish such as salmon and cod. Some people take cod liver oil to reap its benefits, and others prefer to consume fish instead. I want to know why omega-3 fatty acids are so important. So I'm taking this list to Dr. Prem Pillai, who is a neuroscientist passionate about healthy eating. Before we talk though, Dr. Prem asked me to take a test.
Click the blinking tiles in the order they are shown.
This is not an IQ test.
This is like a game, like a memory game.
This test is a screening tool for brain health developed by Dr. Prem and his team.
Okay, remembering the order of colors. Arrange and input the numbers in the order starting from the highest to lowest. 2, 3, 5, 0. 2, 3, 5, 0. Highest or lowest? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. I'm dying to know how I did on that test.
Well, you want to know the good news or the bad news first?
Give it to me slowly. Let's go with the bad news first.
Well, you have a problem with your memory.
Okay.
And it's the memory that you use every day for work, which we call working memory. It's the intermediate memory.
Can I improve that myself?
Good news, yes, you can. Well, eating right is one of the key pillars of getting your brain strong.
What do you mean eating right?
So the diets are good for the brain, and this has been studied extensively. There are some very fancy terms used like the MIND diet, the DASH diet, the Mediterranean diet. But the bottom line with these diets is that you want to take complex carbo, not simple carbo.
Okay.
The complex carbo includes whole grain, multigrain bread, brown rice, red rice, black rice, whole wheat pasta, and for example, quinoa and other grains. You need to eat high quality protein, and the best protein is fish. And you need to eat the right kind of fish as well.
Okay.
So you need to eat fish that has, we call it fatty fish. Mackerel, tuna, salmon, sardines, trout.
These are oily fish.
These are oily fatty fish. They're rich in omega-3s, which is great for the brain.
Why are these omega fatty acids good for the brain?
Actually, the brain has a high concentration of lipids or fats.
Not
the kind of fat that we think of, but these are complex lipids and they make up a lot of our brain substance. So providing those omega-3s through fish, for example, is a great way to improve the overall health of the brain.
About 60% of your brain is made from fat. And half of that fat is composed of omega-3 fatty acids. Your body uses omega-3s to build brain and nerve cells. But keeping your brain sharp is much more than just taking omega-3s. The fatty fish, vegetables and nuts that Dr. Prem mentioned are also found in the DASH diet, a diet that I learned about earlier from dietitian Winnie Loh. This diet includes a lot of fruits and vegetables, as well as low-fat dairy, whole grains, lean protein, beans, and nuts.
This is not a short-term solution. So you have to be on this diet, which has fatty fish, green leafy vegetables, berries, healthy nuts. We recommend actually for good brain function, almonds, Brazil nut, walnuts, not peanuts or groundnuts. More beans in the food, which is a good source of protein and also good for the brain. And chocolates, yes. In fact, chocolates are good for the brain, but it's got to be the right chocolate. It's got to be dark chocolate.
Why dark chocolate?
It's got more of that cocoa component, which helps you focus, concentrate, improves peak brain performance.
Another nugget of information for kids out there. Chocolate actually helps. It's not just a reward, but it actually helps. Dr. Prem, can food make me smarter?
I think you're smart enough, according to your tests. So the short answer for you is no. However, if you wanted to get a few more points up, it's possible that if you ate the right diet the next 6 months to a year, you'd probably do better on the test.
So I've learned that we have two brains, one up here in the head and the other in the gut. Keeping the gut healthy means eating the right foods. But food is so much more than just fuel for the body. The right diet can do you a world of good. For instance, it can help to keep anxiety and depression at bay. It can also improve your memory, your focus, as well as your mental acuity. And potentially make a busy guy like me less stressed.